the theme of love versus marriage. So basically, what I thought about when I first read this excerpt was I thought about how love first started off and how it developed when it got to this point. So when a book first opened up, we got a view of these relationships, a whole bunch of different ones with the ones with Auntie Uju and the general and Ifeolu's parents. So the place was in Lagos in Nigeria. So right off the bat, I noticed that there it was a specific standard that was supposed to be going on as far as like what was supposed to be happening in the marriage. Because with Ifeolu's parents, her father had lost some of his masculinity and some of his confidence because he wasn't providing for his family like how he was supposed to. And with Auntie Uju and the general, she had instantly like clinged to him and was proud of being with him, even though she was his mistress, just because of his high position, status and position. So right then and there, I had already noticed that it was a specific standard that was in Lagos. But then we got introduced into Obenze's and Ifeolu's relationship, where it was supposed to be this real like love type, high school sweetheart. Like it's actually some feelings there. That's what's keeping them together. So once that was introduced, then you see this kind of shift in the love thing, because you see like now it's not just all about the status or the roles of the relationship. Then it moves to this to love. But then when you get to this point, then when Ifemelu moves to America, you see a different change, because she gets to America and she sees all these she's introduced into a different status, a different dynamic. So there is now she see that the women don't have to be the ones that's not providing, or it's not necessarily change when the man is not doing all the providing for the family. So there she notices that she doesn't have to be held to a specific standard in America because it's different from Lagos. So that's why at the end of the excerpt, when she had said, she had basically laughed and had said, that we'll probably do something small on the beaches, because being with Blaine, she noticed that in America it was different from Lagos, where she didn't have to, it wasn't about the standard, it was about the actual feelings and the love, and that's what the change had happened from Nigeria to America. So then looking at the excerpt specifically, when it says the girl never understood the first world in Lagos, that right there had already showed that when it had said in Lagos, that right there has showed that that was a specific rule in Nigeria. That was something that was held to a specific standard in Nigeria. And then I wanted to talk about how this connected with the author, because Chimamanda, her being born and raised in Nigeria, she probably understand her went through the same change or the same realization as Ifem did, moving from Nigeria to America, and noticing those different dynamics and changes and the standards with the gender roles and the positions in the household. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the feminist criticism lens. So looking at the feminist criticism lens and looking at this excerpt, I noticed that right here, the author was trying to show how in Lagos, women are supposed to, love isn't really it isn't really held to a high standard, except for when it was in Obenze's and Ifem's relationship. Love is not something, well, that's what makes love and marriage a theme right here, because it's kind of like it's going against each other. It's like love is one thing, but marriage is a whole other thing. Mm-hmm. And looking at the feminist criticism lens, we see that marriage is supposed to be something where women don't provide, or they're supposed to be, where they're not supposed to be provided, or when they are, they looked at it as some type of odd. Even looking at Obenze's mother, who was providing for herself and was actually fine with it. Like, she didn't see any problem with it. You see she stuck out more than any of the other characters in the book, like Auntie Uju and things like that. And Auntie Uju, her being from Nigeria, she actually carried kind of the same, well, she changed too, moving from Nigeria to America, from her going to being like the general's mistress and being caught up in this mindset where she couldn't provide, or where she had to be down to a lower standard, and moving to America and becoming a doctor and getting her degree and stuff like that. That right there showed the change of how it moved from Nigeria to America. It was totally different. So, one thing.
That's your time, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was sounding as I was hitting it. One of the things I wanted to bring up was looking at this particular excerpt through the feminist criticism lens, but you already did that in your commentary. Talk to me a little bit about some of the other themes that emerge in this particular excerpt, and then I want you to choose one and then take me through the development of that theme in the text.
Okay, so I think another theme that emerged in this excerpt was identity.
Okay.
Because in this excerpt, she's talking about the one that best can maintain you. And I feel like identity emerged in this because looking at what identity was changed to when it was in Nigeria and looking at what it was changed to when it was in America, it was a totally different shift. Because right here in this excerpt, she's basically saying that in Nigeria, you notice that Ifemelu, she had most of her identity was always chained to a person, always. And then when she got to America, it was always chained to a person. But then it started to be chained to more of her social status or economic status. And you notice that with different characters that was in America. So looking at how identity changed, I think that first it went from being chained to whoever she was with, or whoever any character, whoever the character was with, or whoever they was most around. That's what the identity was changed to. And then once it moved to America, it was more changed to. It switched to being more changed to like your economic or social or cultural status. And then I think when she moved back to Nigeria, it also went back to being chained to a specific person. And I feel like, okay, because it's just like, I just wrote this in my steno pad, so I know it. Mm-hmm. So with identity, with all the characters, it seemed that everybody had struggled with knowing who they were because it had always been in question. It could always be questioned, and that's what made it transit. Like with Blaine. Blaine, he seemed so sure who he was. Everybody seemed so sure who he was. And then Shane gets introduced, and it's just like he's not even stable with his identity because somebody can question it. Somebody can come in and break it. So I feel like all through the book, identity was not a strong thing. It was never a strong foundation for anybody. Even with Ifemelu's mom, who kept switching her religion, and she didn't know, she kept switching her religion and changing and cutting her hair. She didn't know who she was. She didn't know what, she didn't know, I won't say where she belonged, but she didn't know what exactly fitted her, and everything seemed to not be right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like through the whole story, one thing that stayed consistent with identity was that it was never a strong thing, or it was never something that stayed the same. One thing I did find interesting is how in the beginning of the story,
sorry, but at least you know you can do longer than 5 minutes, right? Yeah. All right, Asha girl, send in Desir for me, okay?
Okay. So you want to keep the folder, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we're not going to do anybody else after Desir.
Okay.
Thank you.